Welcome to the Transforming Healthcare Coaching Podcast, where we're all about helping healthcare professionals like you create positive change at work, at home, and everywhere in between.
2025, spring weather is among us. And today, Amy and I are going to talk about what we can do about our wellness in this springtime as this is quickly approaching. And so, Amy, how are you today?
Hi, Klaus. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me here again. Great. It's in the Northeast. The sun is out. The days are longer. It's going to be warm again today. And I have to admit, this really has an effect on me. So I'm doing very well.
I can tell. I know after all the hibernating and snow and cold weather, it's nice to see some sun, soak in some vitamin D, and
Yes.
start to do outdoor events and activities again. So, Amy, I'm curious, when you think of spring wellness, what's coming up for you?
It really is that simple. Like you said, vitamin D, it really is real, at least for me. I get very affected in the Northeast with the long winters. I went to my yoga class yesterday. She has this beautiful studio that overlooks the Hudson River. For the first time, there was no ice on the Hudson River. So I know that's here to stay. So it gives me hope. I know at the beginning of the year, and we even talked about it on some podcasts of how to start the new year and new resolutions. And spring really is about new beginnings. So there really is a surge of energy. And so I am getting out more. The park that I like to walk is open later, so I can go after work. So there's definitely a shift in activities and energy in my life in the spring.
Yeah, I love the idea of the new beginning, and there really is like a surge of energy that we can use, and let's capitalize on it. And that's what this episode's all about. Let's capitalize on this spring wellness, the spring weather, and let's jumpstart to the summer. So, how does the concept of renewal in spring translate to your approach to coaching healthcare professionals?
It really is a spring cleaning. And not just in our homes, where maybe I know my friend was cleaning her windows the other day. It's also about spring cleaning our emotional and our mental health. And like I mentioned, it's really happening for me. And so I like to relate those metaphors when I talk to people and meet with them. And it's really about also getting rid of outdated coping mechanisms of how to bear it through the winter or through the tough times, and how those coping mechanisms can no longer serve us. So it's a good way to point those out, because obviously it is all perception and how we approach things and react to things. So it is a nice way to really see how we can actively shift the way we react to our surroundings. So that's really big with healthcare workers, because we know it's always been stressful. It just keeps getting more and more stressful and more demands. So it does come in handy to look at it as a spring cleaning. It's like new growth. There's concept of new growth in spring. Some people see a new crocus, the flower coming up, or the buds on the trees. It's very inspiring to then mimic that in ourselves.
Spring cleaning and new growth. That's how I'm going to summarize this. And I love that actually. Like, clean out all the dirty habits, the things that were not serving us, whether that be during the winter time or the years before. Actually, it's even probably a good time to relook at those New Year goals that we may have had to follow up on this surge of energy. I always tell people too, like, once you're in these like creative energy modes, figure out what brought you to that, and then how can you use that to facilitate these goals that you have in mind and develop sustainable good habits in that process. I find that to be like the best time. So, and I love this aspect of new growth. You're right. The flowers are coming out, birds are chirping outside. So why not use that as a time for yourself as well to grow as a human being so you can live the life that you want?
And I also think it's important not just to go back to what we said January 1st in the deep of the winter. You may have some new goals or a fresh perspective for some new professional goals. Look at where you're at now as the spring cleaning is going on, because there may be an uplift in how you're viewing things. So look at what your fresh new goals might be, and how can you improve patient relationships or adopt innovative approaches at work. It's nicer when we take the blinders off to be able to see more opportunities. And that opportunity in spring allows us to lift our energy a little bit and look at it with a new view or new lens.
Yeah, I love that. And I think we've talked about that in prior episodes, especially when we hit home on New Year goals. And we mentioned this is something that needs to be revisited because a lot of times people set one large, crazy, great New Year goal and then realize that it gets abandoned and it doesn't get achieved. And it's something that just needs to be revisited because it may change, it may shift as the new perspective. So I like that a lot. Yeah. So I'm curious, Amy, what self-care practices do you personally implement during seasonal transitions? I know you mentioned you're now going for long walks, you're enjoying the weather. I know you're a big outdoorsy person. And how do you kind of recommend some of the things that you do as a coach, but as a human being as well, to your clients that are healthcare professionals?
I know you especially talk about this. Like, how do you even get that 60-second break at work? Because we know it's so demanding in healthcare. So, for me, because I feel more invited to get out and there is more daylight or sunlight to get out in the sun, I work from home. I work remote, which I love. And I have found on these warmer days it's sunny. When I take my lunch, I actually go and I sit outside on my back stoop on the steps of the patio and I eat my lunch there. Even if it's chillier, it blocks the wind, I'm able to sit outside, I watch the birds, I eat my lunch and I go inside. So I get that vitamin D. I look up at the light, I move my glasses down to make sure the rays go into my glands in my brain. So I get that vitamin D. And it really energizes me. So that's just a small little thing because it's not like I sit out there for an hour, but I know the last job I had when I was working in healthcare, I made sure as long as the sun was out and it was nice weather, I would get outside at my lunch hour and go for a walk, however much time I had. So moving your body, getting in the sun. Like I said, I went to my yoga class last night and just getting active in the body again, more so, getting out of the hibernation mode.
Yeah. I love the concept that you just brought up that like you take it as an invitation. Like the sun's inviting you outside. Like you're going outside, you're doing these things. It's telling you, come on, join me. I'm gonna start thinking about it like that. Especially like I started sleeping with the curtains up so that when in the morning when the sun came in, I'm much more awake. There's actually a science to it. I'm not gonna quote it exactly, but it serves a purpose to wake us up and kind of break our sleep cycle so that we can start the day. And one of the things I'm thinking about now is, and things that I think I talk about with my healthcare clients too, is when we're thinking about spring going into summer, this is the time to really start to build the good habits. Just because summer hits, we want to be at the beach or we want to be doing certain activities. But this is the time where like getting projects done in your house are great because when the hot weather hits, a lot of times you want to be outside enjoying yourself. You don't want to be tackling too many projects, even for yourself. So, one of the things I say is really use this renewal period to serve just as that, so that you can really take time to really enjoy yourself during the summer months. At least in New England, because in New England, we don't get the warm weather too often. So, it's time to enjoy it.
It is. And it is an invitation. I remember even during the winter, maybe I had a longer lunch hour and I wasn't going out and walking and it just wasn't inviting. So my steps on my phone were much lower during the week. And at the same time, I was also compassionate with myself. You know what? I do like being cozy and in the house and having a warm meal, and it's okay. Of course, moving your body is always better for us, but there's also time to rest and relax as well.
Yeah. We can find ways to enjoy ourselves and grow as a person as well during the times where it may not be sunny and outdoor appropriate, where you can cuddle up by a fireplace, read a book, or whatnot. So, we talk a lot about burnout. Many healthcare professionals experience a lot of burnout by the springtime after a really demanding winter. Flu season hits the emergency rooms, the ICU, primary care offices, everywhere, really. And it affects everybody, even in our personal lives. We get the flu. And so, I guess, what kind of renewal strategies have you found most effective for professionals experiencing kind of this cyclical fatigue during like spring from winter?
Yeah, and so many people really were sick this winter. And as I was one of them, I don't usually get sick, but I got it somewhere. And some people are really taking longer to recover as well, which is interesting. So a lot of people have been down with the flu or whatever it is, and is so important. And I find that this springtime really helps allow us to renew and heal in a way with some more intention. So it is a perfect time to shift gear. But you're right. Not only are the patients sick that we're seeing in healthcare, but also people have been out and more strained due to having some virus or something. So taking extended breaks, having compassion for yourself. Obviously, we all know our wellness practices, but really setting boundaries. And we have quite a few podcasts on that topic as well, of how to take care of ourselves. It's just so important. It's like we always talk about it and their word, but it's like really getting down to the nitty gritty and actually doing these things. People really see the effects and they get more energy from it.
Yeah, burnout is so huge. And I always tell people the first step is just being aware about it and being aware that you're experiencing some symptoms of it. And the winter to spring is often a huge transition point for most people. And I think people don't try and put a name to it or don't try and recognize it. They just let it be. It's just the way it is. It's how it's always been. But having an understanding of it and being in that way, like I said, you could start kind of developing sustainable, good habits for yourself in the beginning, healthy ones, well ones for you, that by doing so, hopefully next time come around, you're maybe a little bit more resilient to it. You do get sick, you can adapt, you can bounce back. You're not so hard on yourself for getting sick in the first place. It happens. We all get sick. We're human beings. Not everything's preventable. A respiratory virus is easy to attack anyone. And in that way, you're able to kind of bounce back and just get back on your feet sooner and really start tackling the things that you want in life a little bit quicker and easier. Yeah. So for the last question, Amy, I'm curious, what's one underutilized renewal strategy you wish more healthcare professionals would adopt?
It really, again, comes back to the basics that we all know. Getting proper sleep, getting proper nutrition, physical activity, finding joy in what we like to do when we move our bodies, whether it's a walk outside or dancing or whatever it is. Find out what it is for you. Finding creative outlets. I feel that the fourth leg of this self-care model, so that number one, our brains are effective and work well, on top of having our energy, is connection and reaching out and connecting with people. I find the days that it's actually nice outside, when I go out, everyone is smiling. You just start to initiate a conversation with someone on the street or on the walking trail, and they talk back to you, and everyone is in a better mood, and it feels uplifting. It seems like such a small thing. And we also talk about connecting with our patients in a way that we're very present, look them in the eye, but that goes such a long way. And I find even just finding, which I know I do in coaching, you probably do too, coming up with even the small steps that we do on a daily or weekly basis that can really shift our energy and our outlook so that, as you said, we then have the resilience when something does come and knock us down a little bit.
I love that. I would actually piggyback, and that would be my recommendation too, especially with something that's underutilized, is that evaluation of yourself, that revisiting the goals that we talked about. But also, there's something so powerful about speaking to somebody who's unbiased, who's only there to be there to hear you and see your growth in the ways that you want, and to just evaluate you as a person of your day to day, what it is that you want, and just getting it reflected back to you about some step that you're doing or you're not doing that could be life changing. And it could be the smallest steps. As somebody who is a active client in a coaching relationship, it happens to me every day when I meet with my coach. Well, I don't meet with him every day, every 2 weeks, that I find something about myself that I never realized. And it's so powerful to come up with that yourself and be like, this is a small shift I can make, or this is one small habit that I could start to make to really change the trajectory of my goals and my relationship to myself, and to really kind of get to that life that I'm seeking. So I think, and then that could just be talking to anybody, talking to a good friend, and somebody who brings you good energy. We all have some people in our lives that may not be the best people to talk to about our self-improvements and our growths, but having somebody that will empower you, who will cheer you on is so important in this endeavor. And so I would recommend whether that be a mother, a father, a close friend, a colleague, if not a coach, book a discovery call with one of us. We'd love to help you get an evaluation check and start building sustainable habits for yourself. I think connection is so underutilized and it can really propel you moving forward.
You're right, it's that self-awareness. I'm working with one client who she's in healthcare, very busy. She felt she had 0 time to do anything. She drives to her patients' homes, does all her paperwork, takes care of her children, lives her life, responsibilities, and just these little steps, time in and time out over the months we've been together. She's getting to bed earlier. She's enjoying things. And she still, actually, she has a higher workload now because now, with some cuts that are coming in, she has to work more to make the same amount of money. So she's also stressed on top of that. But we've set it up that she's actually got more time and energy to handle these things. And it all came from these one size fits one, listening, validating, setting up the new goals, and then the accountability each time we meet. And it's amazing how it's drastically improved her life. And she still only has 24 hours a day.
Wow, that's a great story. It's wonders how so many clients, especially healthcare professionals who come to us, say that they don't have time or time was a big issue for them to reach out eventually. Then how much time they got back because of that, because that reevaluation of what their time was being invested in wasn't serving them or it wasn't productive. And yeah, those small shifts that you could make. So if time is one of your procrastinators, which it was for me for a long time, let us help you take it back.
It actually is doable. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, thank you, Amy, for joining us on this episode. And I hope everybody goes outside, gets invited to go enjoy the sunlight, take a little walk, and we will catch you next week.
Sounds great. And don't forget to say hello to people when you're out for your walk.
Yes, connection. Let's build some connection on the way.
Thanks so much for listening. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe and share with a colleague who would benefit. Together, we can transform healthcare one person at a time. Find us anywhere you find your podcasts. Ready to take your healthcare leadership journey to the next level? Book a discovery call free at transforminghealthcarecoaching.com to explore our personalized coaching packages designed specifically for healthcare professionals like you.